Good morning, everybody, and it's time for. And it just made me change my mic. There we go. I don't know why I did that, but we are here. It is Option Pit. Hold on, let me play the music again. Rush is playing Toronto tonight. Hey, I'll tell you what, I think that would be pretty great. That's like bringing me back to high school. I wonder if they have the same hair and stuff. Anyway, everybody, welcome to Option Pit. It's the morning volatility report. It's Andrew Giovinazzi filling in for Mark Sebastian. Pro Trader Summit. We have a quorum. We have a few spots left. I think the most we would take is 15. But I think we have 1 or 2 spots open. But we like at least 10, and we don't want more than 15. So we're there. You'll be able to talk to Mark and I. I'm still trying to get one of my pals that trades the SPX in as one, but we'll have several speakers. You definitely will learn something. Go down to the VIX pit, talk to the guy that runs the VIX. He's an old friend of mine. And lots of stuff like that, and hopefully you learn stuff. And probably the best part of the trip, I'm going to be honest with you, is breakfast at Ceres. Okay? Because it's that I eat like 500 breakfasts there. It's an awesome place. Okay. Anyway, oh, I got to mute some people. I forgot here. All right. And with that, what do we got? Amazon vol is cheap. Oh, wow. I got my thing is bumping all over the place. Anyway, we'll talk about that in the chat today. Let's talk about the market. This will also talk about in the chat today because we have to do a little management there. And just real simple here. Okay. We looked at XIV versus VXX yesterday in the chat. That trade is working out really well. We also looked at some Yahoo, Twitter in the chat room working out. Yup. And it's just one of my, in our pro chat room, like VVIX is still very high. Okay, well, why? Right? Stocks, it's clearly there is air underneath stocks that want to push them up. As soon as there's no bad news, they lift, right? And there's just the worry of what's going on in, it's the worry of Europe more than what really is going to happen in there, I think. That seems to be continuing to, it's making our market volatile. Let's just put it that way, okay? So the one thing that we do have, though, is, okay, which personally is still surprising me. It surprised me last week. It surprises me this week, that the bid for volatility just doesn't hold up. Right? Normally, I look at a product like the VIX, or I look at volatility, and it tends to trend, right? Normally you see some nervousness sort of is steady to an event. And I think there's one half, and this is really, I think, one half of the pie says whatever happens in Greece doesn't matter, and the other half is saying, it does matter. And it's tending to lock the vol up. Normally, there's kind of a bid for volatility into, some sort of event. The 18th, supposedly the EU has to come together and make some decision. I don't know what that is. And then at the end of the month, there's a default date for Greece. How that's all going to play out, I have no clue. But I thought, wrongly I might add, that this sustained bid last week would kind of just hold up, and we had this huge markdown, and now we're kind of back up there again. Starting the same thing over again, though. Meaning the bid for vol really is not holding up. I will say though, and this is what one of our clients just, right, but it's what I mentioned yesterday. Vol is still, you know, it ain't here. It's kind of more in the upper part of the range. It's not in the panic part of the range, right? If you look back to October, right? All right, 150%. Okay, but it's not the low part either, right? So the short answer is they're still not giving up the potential for movement. And the big reason why I think that is as well is, you know, any type of resolution pushes VIX down to 12.5, easy, which is a pretty big jump at this point, right? That will crush the volatility products, right? It will take the futures down. And right now what we have is, we easily have, and July is a long cycle, so we have probably about a point of volatility where the July future is going to be relatively unresponsive on the way down. It will drop a little bit, but not a lot. If you do get to 12.5, then we'll see the move down. And again, VIX will be back in a position of huge contango, or the vol products will be in a position of huge contango afterward. But it's not that way right now. Okay, relatively tight for 1 month to go at the start of the cycle. Okay, so the market is, what I would say, still poised for movement, although it's not as much as we have seen in the last week or so. Okay, so it's still, you know, I still feel we're going to get easy a solid 1% up or down day within the next week, just the way the futures are kind of pricing all this. Solid 1% move, where we could be like bang down 1% or bang up 1% in a heartbeat on any announcement. Right? And in the meantime, we're going to beat around. And that's at least how I see how vol is pricing things in the broader market. Almost everything else we've been doing has been more kind of spot opportunity in, you know, in names where we saw some interesting things. Yahoo, we had a nice little trade yesterday. We looked at Twitter a little bit, recovery, and you know, we have just a few things sprinkled around, and that's what we'll do today. And we'll revisit our vol trades because we closed some, just so I can reopen some in our strategy letter. All right, and with that, that's about it. I will see you all in the chat today. On the schedule, we don't really have anything out of the ordinary planned. Also, for some of you that went to our boot camp that are still with us, tomorrow on the Gold Lab, I had a client request for a couple of updates or a little in-depth on part of the lab, the boot camp that we had on Saturday. So I'm happy to do it for the 35 minutes on the end of the day tomorrow. So that will be recorded and you'll be able to check it out. Okay, but we'll specifically be going over parts of the boot camp that we have some more client questions on. All right, and with that, I will see you guys all in about 20 minutes. All right, bye-bye.